Yeah, what are we supposed to say? 3, 2, 1, action.
Wait, you start? What's up, Legos?
Legos.
According to review.
Study guide.
Study guide.
Answers. Legos.
Legos. Bye, Legos.
All right, that was nice. All right, go ahead and you guys, we are silent during this time. We are taking notes. We are checking over our work to see where we went wrong, if we went wrong somewhere. And some of you may have already checked your answers against my answers on Canvas. I was really shocked. Nobody has approached me yet and said, there's a mistake on your 23-page thing. Because like usually there's a little mistake there. Nobody got a mistake yet?
There's a mistake.
No, I usually make one like tiny little mistake or write something the wrong way or something. I didn't write my name.
You didn't write the name, your date, or the setting.
Oh,
like an NLA format.
Oh, okay. All right, so you call out the question and we will walk through it together. Number 17.
Hey, did you do 17?
Oh, I know this one. Never mind.
I think you meant number 27.
Yeah, I meant number 7.
Number 7?
Yeah.
So everybody has their packet open to number 7. 7, they changed it.
Oh, 7.
Yeah, I was
Number
right.
7. I needed to be silent. Number 7 says, graph the solution of the inequality on the number line. In order to find the solution, we do need to solve for x. This is going to be a really, really important one. You can't just go by the inequality symbol. Did anybody try to get the answer just by looking at the inequality symbol and you got it wrong? Okay, that's because eventually you actually have to divide by a negative and that flips the inequality symbol. So it's really important to solve for x and not just go by the symbol, okay? I'm gonna write this equation down, I'm gonna show all of my work, okay? So I have,
It's frozen.
oh, that whole time I thought it was on there. Okay, so I have graph the solution of the inequality, -3 times x plus 1 is less than or equal to 6. So like I just said, if you're like, oh, it says less than or equal to, so it has to be pointing down and it's filled in, and then you would circle C, and you would be getting it wrong because you have to check to see 2 things. Number 1, where your variable is on which side of the equal sign, which it will be on the left, but also is the inequality symbol going to flip, which it is. Watch. When we solve this, what do we do first?
Distribute.
Good, distribute. So we get what? Just call it out.
-3x minus 1.
Nope.
Nice, -3.
Negative 3 is less than or equal to 6. And then what do we do?
Oh. I got to add 3.
Yeah, add 3 to both sides. And then we get -3x is less than or equal to 9. And then, Cobb, what do we do next?
Then you have to divide that by -3.
Yep, divide by -3 on both sides. Now here is where you have to be super careful. This is a rule that I actually forget sometimes. Sometimes I get so focused on just like doing the same thing to both sides and copying everything down, and I forget that rule that when you are dividing by a negative, the inequality must flip, okay? So this less than or equal to sign is going to change into a greater than or equal to sign. The -3 over the -3 cancels out because that equals 1. 1x is just x. 9 divided by -3 is? -3. So the -3 isn't really that important because they're all -3. It's really about what does this inequality symbol say to do. x, the value for x, or the values for x have to be greater than, which is bigger than, or higher than -3, and it must include -3, right? The or equal to says that the -3 is included, okay? Bella, focus, okay? The -3 has to be included, which is why we have a solid circle, and then we include all of the values that are greater than -3, higher than -3, bigger than -3, however you want to say it, that's what we have to include, okay? Does that answer your question? All right, I'm going to make little notes of which problems we do so I can label it in the video. Okay, next question. By the way, I also made a digital practice test, and the questions are pretty different. You might, like, some of them might be the same, but it'll be like just another version of this. If you want to just, like, if you're done with this and you want to just test yourself and see what your score is, it'll give you a really good idea of what your score will be on the midterm.
Will both, like, some of those questions be on the midterm, like, some versions?
It's all of the questions that are in the digital version are like the same types of questions, so it's just like with different numbers again. So it's just a way to like freshly test yourself to see how you're doing, just more practice. And it's not required, it's just for you guys if you want to practice more. Yeah. 10? Yeah. Okay, so for number 10, I can't have any talking or noise at all. For number 10, it says select the domain and the range of the function. What is domain? Our x values. So our x values are listed in the table, 1, 3, 5, and -1. The only thing that you have to do when you list them is put them in order from least to greatest. So just your x values in order from least to greatest. And then the range is your y values in order from least to greatest, which is -2, 1, and 4, and 7. Is there something you didn't understand about it?
No, I understood that, because I usually do that, but usually I don't get domain.
Okay. Domain is x, range is y. Yeah?
You go over 30.
30?
You're at pace one.
Just waiting until the room is silent. For number 30, it says, for a fundraiser, a group plans to sell X granola bars. What does X mean?
The number of
Yeah, it's a variable, so it's a missing number of
So
granola
that
bars,
they
right?
multiply.
X is representing the number of granola bars they plan to sell, right? A group plans to sell X granola bars. X is the number of granola bars they plan to sell. At $1.25 each, and Y bottles of water, which just means a certain number of bottles of water, at 50 cents each. Why are the granola bars so much more expensive than the water? Interesting. The group wants the revenue from the fundraiser to be at least $150. Don't get too tripped up by the word revenue. Do you guys know what that means?
money.
Yeah, the money that they
Money
make.
they earn.
Yep, how much money they earn, very good. They want the revenue or the money that they make from the fundraiser to be at least $150. Select the inequality that models the situation. Good news on this question is all of the inequalities are exactly the same. So you know that they're set up perfectly. The only difference is what? Yeah, the inequality symbol. So, what two words in this entire passage are the most important
At
words?
least.
At least. Very good. Whose question was this?
Mine.
Okay, so did,
19, huh?
I'm just curious, which one, what number did you, what choice did you pick?
Oh, I didn't choose. I didn't like do it. I got confused.
Okay, so what you're gonna look for, especially when all of the answer choices look exactly the same except for these inequality symbols, you're gonna look for which one of these inequality symbols represents the word at least. At least means, at least 150 means 150 or more, which means it has to include an or equal symbol, because it can be 150. At least means equal to 150 or more, so also greater than 150. At least means greater than 150 or exactly 150. Because, and there's another question in this that's similar. When anybody's planning on selling something and making money, they're not gonna set their goal at just one number. They're not like, I wanna make $150 and that's it. They wanna make at least that goal, right? So that's why most sales are not represented by equations, but by inequalities, because they wanna meet their goal or go higher. Okay, so that was 30. Next question. 28? Okay. So for 28, it gives you the equation of line A, which means you can go ahead and draw the line based on your y-intercept and your slope. Then it says, and we'll do that in a second, it says the graph of line B is parallel to line A and passes through the point 3, 5. So, this is the way that I did it. There are a few ways to do it. This is the way that I find it to be the easiest. The first thing that I did was I graphed the line that it gave me. Were you able to graph like at least one line, or did you, like, I'm just curious like where you went wrong on this. Did you graph both lines, or did you not graph anything? Did you just get some points? You got line A? Okay, and is it correct? Okay, good. So you graphed your y-intercept at 4, and your slope says to go -1/3, so that means down 1/3, down 1/3, and we can go the opposite way to get some points on the other side. Up 1 to the left 3, up 1 to the left 3, and here we have line A. Now line B has to be parallel to line A and pass through the points 3, 5. So what I did was I went to 3 on the x and 5 on the y, and I just made a point of line B. Tell me, Jay Nice, tell me what is the relationship of parallel lines regarding the slope? Parallel lines have what? What? What is special about the slope of parallel lines? Shh. Well, take a look at my parallel lines. What do you notice about the slopes? Rise over run. Every slope has a rise over run. They have the same. Very good. So same rise over run, same everything about a slope, right? The slope is exactly the same. So if I'm able to have that point, 3, 5, and I know that the slope has to be the same as this slope, I can just make more points using the slope of line A. Down 3 and over 1. So down 1. Down 1 and over 3. So I have my next point, which is enough to form a line, but I like to go backwards also just to get a few more points, make my line nice and straight. So I go back to 3, 5, and I go up 1 to the left 3, up 1 to the left 3, and that's how I can get both of my lines. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Next question. Number 15. This came from the lesson this year that I found to be one of the hardest lessons. I feel like this is something that's kind of like new to what you guys need to know in algebra. So if this concept feels just weird and hard to understand, that's why. It's kind of like part of the new standards that the state requires of algebra. It's not something that we're very familiar with or you've been like very prepared for, and this is kind of a new thing. So what's happening here is we have one function, which is a linear function. It's just like a line. It's just like a linear equation, right? Instead of saying y equals 12x minus 1400, it's f of x, which is the same thing. It's just in function notation instead of slope-intercept form, instead of linear equation notation, but it's exactly the same thing. It forms a line on a graph. And then there's another function. Could the noise just be not happening? Another function, which we'll call g of x, is also a linear function, linear equation. So we have two lines on a graph. Describe the transformation, which just means how it changes. Describe the transformation of the graph of f to the graph of g. So without even, like technically you could graph it, but that'd be hard to graph, right? So how would we describe how the graph of f changes to the graph of g, the transformation, the difference between them? So what we learned is that, and I made sure to make the question that's on the actual exam like very similar to this one, because there are a few different things that we learned about this. But we noticed that the slope is the same, our x term is the same, right? Now, if this is our y-intercept and it's at negative 1400, but this line has a y-intercept of negative 1535, think of what that looks like on the y-axis. Is this function g of x, is it higher or lower on the y-axis? Is this function higher or lower on the y-axis? What makes you think it's higher? I'm actually really glad you said that, because you guys know how I love a good wrong answer, because wrong answers help us get to the right answer, right? So even though that's wrong, I'm glad you said it, because about half the class would have said the same thing. Let me ask you a question. Which number is bigger? -4 or -5? -4. Remember, negatives go backwards, right? So on a number line, -4 is actually higher than -5. And the y-axis is a number line. So if the negative 1400 is on the y-axis, the negative 1535 is lower. So again, we're recognizing that our slopes are exactly the same. Therefore, the lines are parallel. The only transformation, the only difference, the only change is that the line went down. So the answer B, the line is translated down 135 units. 135 just being the difference between 1400, the y-intercept of 1400, and the y-intercept of negative 1535. So negative 1400, negative 1535 would be 135 units down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Next. Next question.
Can you do 25
Our good old friend, solving systems of equations. What is the solution of this system? Let's take a look at it. Aiden, what method is this system set up for?
It's set up for substitution.
Substitution is correct. Can anybody tell me why it's set up for substitution? Jay Nice, can you tell me why this is set up for substitution? And I know it seems like I'm picking on you guys, but I could be picking on a lot of people in the room because I know that a lot of people struggle with. Bella, you want to help, right? Because we just talked about this, right? Okay, you go ahead and help.
Can't we multiply it by 3, but,
No, you're thinking of elimination. You're thinking of changing the whole equation to try to cancel things out. That's elimination. So this is substitution. Jay Nice, tell me why this is set up for substitution. Yes, because the y is already solved. We know what y is. Well, we don't know exactly what y is, but we know that y is this expression. And if that's what y is, that's what it is for this y also, right? So I can rewrite 7x minus 3y equals 15 and substitute the y for this y. So I'm going to rewrite it here. 7x minus 3y, but instead of writing y, I'm going to open up some parentheses and write this entire thing for the y. 2/3 x plus 5. And then of course I'm just going to finish my equation, equals 15. And now I'm going to solve for x. Look, we now have an equation that doesn't have a y variable. That's a good thing. We didn't eliminate it, we substituted it. But it still got rid of it, right? We don't have to deal with y right now, not until we solve for x. So, if we have to solve for x now, what's the first thing that we do? Distribute. The 7x is just going to stay the way it is for now. Then we have a negative 3 times 2/3 x. And what's that? Negative 2x. Negative 2x. Raise your hand if you don't know how to get from this to this, because I want to go over it if you can have trouble with this. You guys get it? Negative 3 times, okay, since everybody gets it, now I'm going to pick on people. Since everybody gets it, Lathan, tell me how I got negative 2x from negative 3 times 2/3 x.
Alright, so you basically multiply negative 3 times 2
Yeah.
over 3, and that gives
Yeah.
you negative 6, and then you divided it by 3, and
Yeah.
that gives you negative 9, and then you divided it, and then that gave you negative 6.
Very good.
Call me king.
I tried to catch you. You were rocking that question. Okay. All right, and then negative 3 times 5 is negative 15 equals 15. Now let's keep solving. What do we do next? Combine like terms. I like to circle my terms with their signs and then combine them. 7x plus negative 2y is? Good. I shouldn't just hear one person giving me the answers, okay? Did you get this one right? Oh, did you already check my Canvas stuff? Okay. All right, and then minus 15 equals 15. And then what do we do, guys? Yep, add 15 to both sides. Then we get 5x equals 30. Divide by 5 on both sides, and we get x equals 6. Aiden, did you catch your mistake yet?
Yes, I put plus 15 instead of 1.
Oh, over here, you put plus 15?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna keep going just for people. Oh, yeah, wake up. Dia, what do I do next? Now that I have my x value, what do I do next? Yeah, you plug it in. So how would I do that?
would do the bottom one.
Yeah, I would choose, well, I would actually choose the top one, because it's already solved for y. But can you do the bottom one if you want to?
Yes.
Totally. I'll do the top one because it's already solved for y. Even though it's got an annoying fraction, it'll cancel out really easily because 2/3 times x, if I have x is 6/1, then that will cancel out nice and easy. So I have a 6 and a 3. I can cancel.
Just 24 cents.
You're surprised I forgot to put the x?
No, I was gonna say you forgot to put the y because I in my way we do the other one.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. So then we have 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. So y equals 9. So we have 6, 9 is our solution. But if I were you and I was taking the test, what would I do before I clicked that answer?
Plug it back in.
Yes, plug it back in. Which equation should we use?
Once you find 6, you put the answer in.
What?
Once you find 6, once you have the answer for this one.
Once you find 6, you're using 6 to find your y, but what if 6 was wrong? What if it's wrong? Why not just plug in your x and your y value for the other equation? We already used the top equation to solve for y, so let's use the bottom equation to check our answer. So we would have 7 times x minus 3 times y equals 15. Just plug in your x and your y. 7 times 6 minus 3 times 9 equals 15. We're just checking. 7 times 6 is 42. 3 times 9 is, or negative 3 times 9 is 27. Does 42 minus 27 equal 15? Sure does. I'll double check. 42 minus 27 equals 15. 15 equals 15. That means everything checks out. So 6, 9 is the correct answer. Next question. Yeah. 19. All right, which equation is a line perpendicular to the line y equals 2/3 x plus 5? This one actually is probably simpler than you think. All you have to do is remember your rule about slopes of perpendicular lines. It's different than the relationship of slopes with parallel lines, but there is a relationship. Do you remember what it is? What is it?
What?
I thought you were raising your hand to help answer the question.
I can't, I just don't know that.
What were you gonna say then?
Well, I've seen the +7, so it's like, if it's perpendicular, like that.
Nope. The y-intercept really has no effect on this answer. Yeah, we call it the opposite reciprocal. Hello. We call it the opposite reciprocal. Let's practice some opposite reciprocals right now. What is the opposite reciprocal of 1/2? Very good. -2/1, which would be -2. What is the opposite reciprocal of -4/3?
-3/4.
Oh, I shouldn't put an equal sign, sorry, I should just put an arrow. It would be 3/4. Bella, what's the opposite reciprocal of 6/7? Very good, -7/6. And what is the opposite reciprocal of -2/3? +3/2. So perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. Now think about this. Perpendicular lines form right angles. They go in two opposite directions. So if one's a positive slope, I'm trying to think of what this looks like to you. Yes, this looks like a positive slope to you. If this one's a positive slope and this one's going in the exact opposite direction, doesn't this one have to be negative? And if this one's negative, doesn't this one have to be positive? So that's why the slope is opposite reciprocal. And then, in the same way, if they're going in opposite directions, if this one's moving up 2 over 3, then this one has to be moving down 3 over 2. It's just going in the complete opposite direction. That's why opposite reciprocal for perpendicular lines, and for parallel lines, exact same slope. Okay? That's number 19. One more? One more question. Aaliyah, head up. Mm-mm. One more question. All right, we can be done for today. And you better come in with more questions tomorrow.
Okay, 9.
Number 9.
Number 46.